Plant lovers, I'm Robert here, and I'm live on tape tonight with our friends and fellow plant lovers, Mark Williams, Goodhart Brown, and Zev Friedman. We are here to talk about Frank Cook and his life, and we will get into that very shortly. Mark is an ethnobotanist and graduate student at ASU. Andrew Goodhart Brown is a permaculture teacher and designer located in Asheville, North Carolina. And Zev Friedman is a permaculture designer and owner of Paradise Gardening, living in Barnardsville. As soon as we start the show, we'll be having by telephone Ken Cook, Frank's brother. And we're about to go, Chris, to the show. And this is going to be a spectacular learning experience for all those people who have touched base with Frank and really never asked the question, how'd you grow up, or what'd you do, and how did you make the big transition from your life to the life of plants. So we will be bringing that up now.
Is Ken on the phone?
Yes. Ken?
Ken, are you there?
Okay, so right now we have the picture of Kay, and Frank is a baby. That little teddy bear is there, and now we're on to Dad in in the patrol, a ranger patrol at a state park, showing the background of nature and forestry. This is Shenandoah. Ken, at any time you can pop in. Now we see a picture of Frank as a young toddler. We can see that ice pack in his right hand where he had an operation on his hand. And he's about 1 year old. And this operation was just the first of two hands. He was born with his fingers together. And this is a picture of Ken and the nickname Cookie, which is his dad's nickname. And we'll notice that through these pictures that Mom and Frank are both dark-haired. There he's out with some leaves, really kind of festy look on his face, saying, you know, I don't think I like this place. But this was also after one of the operations in the grounds of the hospital.
Is Ken?
Yeah. And now we're going to his, still in the hospital. You see his arm, Frank's arm, in a cast, and Santa Claus was coming around. The left one had already been done, and now they're doing the right one. Here's a preschool shot. And this shot shows that his mom had made his clothes for the kids as they went to the dock to visit Dad, who went off to Vietnam. And now we've got Ken and Frank on a beach on Whidbey Island in Washington. They lived there for about a year. Nice way to grow up. Hey, Ken?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, yeah, my brother and I were always there the water because my dad obviously was in the Navy, so it was definitely
And now we got a picture of Ken and the first picture of Elizabeth Cameron Cook, Cammy. This is in Iceland. And we're going to look at another picture from Iceland. Wow. This is him on the baseball team. He was about 10 years old, and he and Ken were both on this team. In fact, that's Ken in the background on first. They both were really athletic at that time together. And this is Weston Junior High back in Bethesda, Maryland. And he was very much part of the student council and the debating club. This was a good time for him. He was feeling his oats. And then again, this was the picture shot in their grandfather's home that they were raised in. Cammie's about 6, and they just look like an ideal couple, family of siblings. Now we're going to look at the track where he was in Japan, and at 16 years old, he was coming up to his 6'5" height. Varsity letters in track and cross country. These were some good times for him, wasn't it, Ken?
Yes, it was, and he also played, 4 years of basketball also. So he had 10 varsity letters in high school.
And this is the Navy family about to leave for Japan, and Frank is about 18 years old, heading to Duke. And this is the senior high picture. He was a Shogun senior, which means he had to have outstanding academic, sports, and political activities, as he was president of that debate club, plus the basketball, track, cross country. And here's
and he was also president of the student council, so
right.
He pretty much headed most of the academics of the high school.
Yeah, full schedule, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the last picture on the Stone Bridge around Christmas break from Duke. Chris, can we just hold it there? Can you pause me? Great. Bring us back to there we go. So Ken, I am wanting to just also add a couple of things that we talked about. That
Sure.
That Frank was in the master's program at Duke. And
That's correct.
at one point in time, he really wanted to be a multimillionaire. And
That's correct.
he was summa cum laude, top 1% of his class. And his 3 majors were computer science, zoology, and math.
That's correct.
And that was a time where he went through a couple of changes. Can you talk about that the Sweat Lodge experience that he had?
Yeah, my brother was going through his master's program at Duke and in the business school there, and basically he was working for one of his professors in his gardens and what have you. And basically his professor told him about a thing called a Sweat Lodge that he could go and experience if he wanted to try something different. And so my brother decided to do that. And my brother, I think, at that point in time in his life, had a lot of disillusions about the political system and the systems by which our society was run on, just through his studies and what have you, and his experiences in his employment. And basically, he went to this Sweat Lodge, people, and he told me that basically he experienced a walk-in during the Sweat Lodge where an American Indian entered into his body and basically took over his soul.
Yes. And it was something that he didn't talk about very much, though.
No, I think that there were a lot of aspects of my brother's life, especially his past, that he felt that there were a lot of people that would use certain things against him or this or that. So he really minimalized any type of interaction as far as his past experiences and this and that. He was always someone paving the road forward and not really wanting to look backwards, because he knew that a lot of his missions and the things he was trying to accomplish would get held back if he were to talk about his past.
And you're one of the few people, of course, your parents and your sister, that actually saw this transformation.
Oh yeah, I mean he went from being basically in the business school master's program at Duke to making ice cream at Steve's Ice Cream,
Yes.
and then he worked at the co-op down near Duke there, and then he went with a couple friends, Paul and Jill, and they traveled around the country and followed the Grateful Dead for I believe 5 to 7 years.
Right.
So there was a major transition from this person that wanted to be academically at his highest level and also contribute to society to someone that shifted into a different way, a different path.
Yes, and then you also embraced that path with him, did you not?
Yes, yeah, I definitely would meet him at some of the Grateful Dead shows when they came into town here, and obviously when I would meet up with him, we would talk, and at that point in time, he was really experimenting with a lot of different things, trying to get an understanding of why his life had changed at all. And then I guess he decided to go to this rainbow gathering, and at the rainbow gathering, he met a person named Seven Song, and this person, Seven Song, had a school up in Ithaca, New York, and basically thought that Frank would enjoy coming up and learning about plants and what have you. So.
Well, that's really, really, really interesting, and for a lot of people, I'm sure that fills in a lot of little holes in Frank's life. We thank you so much for taking the time and being with us, and we will be speaking to you again very soon personally, and we're going to really see if we could do another show on Frank because it seems like there's so much material here. This first hour show is going to sweep by us before we even know it's over. But okay, thank you so much. Take care.
Take care, Ken.
Bye,
Take care, Ken.
And Christopher, we're ready to roll it on. Okay, so here is a time when I knew Frank, when we first got together, and this is when they created the trail from the sea to the mountains, and I think Frank was one of the first people to walk it. And this is Lake Eden Arts. We're going to see some people we know real soon, and this was a very special event for Frank. He taught his plant spirit medicine here, and he also started the mead circles that are very, very prevalent in this area. There's Doug Elliott, also at Leaf, is that right?
Yeah.
Right? And one of the later Leaf festivals that he went to. Also, Matea. This is Juliet Blankenship, and teaching a class also out there, or was that at Leaf?
Yeah, that's
Blancaspor.
Juliet Blancaspor
Yeah.
teaching a plant walk in the back, looking on and always wanting to learn more. And here we are again at Leaf, and we've got Kaylin Campbell and Natalie Bogwalker and Danielle and Christina Braid and myself all having a moment with Frank.
The times at Leaf were really important to him.
This is actually after Juliet's plant walk. Here Frank is with one of his closest female friends, Claudia Green, and you can also see Mateo and Christina in the background. Obviously some good conversing going on there. Here we have the ethnobotanist and anthropologist David Kozo to the right, and then Zev, who's with us here today, to the left, and then you get a shot of Doug Elliott's pack there that he made out of, I believe, tulip poplar bark, and carries his props for the class he had just taught there. Now we're moving forward to the Rainbow Gathering in Arkansas, where Frank is now a teacher and a peer of Seven Song, who he initially learned from. And the gentleman to the right that looks like Santa Claus, Greenlight, another great teacher of Frank's. And then to the far right, Michael Stevens, another great ethnobotanist. Here is more of that same plant walk, and you can see Joseph Immel, who's acolyte of Frank's, and also Corey Pine Shane, who was a peer of Frank's going through Seven Song School in 1995, as well as Claudia in the bottom left there. Here we've got the bioregional gathering that occurred at Earth Haven, I believe maybe 2003, 4, 5? 2005, sounds good. And
Keith Johnson is there?
Keith Johnson, another great teacher of Frank's, is there in the purple hat in the upper left-hand corner. Here Frank is actually teaching at that bioregional gathering, and the green covering on his head is Joe Duffelmeyer, another really good friend of Frank's and another great student of his.
This is the one where Frank got that crazy gallstone and was laid out on the ground writhing in pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Here we're getting ready for a really incredible walk in 2008 in May. We met with Goodhart, who's here with us today, to do a walk of his Paradise Gardens here in East Asheville. And then Jessie is another person that traveled with Frank and helped him, and she went on the walk with myself and Mateo. And this is the place where we went to, Catawba Falls. And I was actually on this show pretty much directly after that walk and described it there, so you can look it up in the archives. But really fantastical experience there. Here Frank is with his little brother Ken, all grown up, and I believe this is taken in Peru on one of their journeys there. They're very close, and Ken traveled with Frank also to Africa, also to Costa Rica, and numerous other places as well along.
And we're talking about another show to show some of Ken's slides.
Yeah, so here we go to Africa, and another close friend of Frank's and his most recent partner, Mary Morgaine, is there, and they are, I believe, in South Africa here, in Rusters Valley, South Africa. Here Frank is on that same trip, but now in Zimbabwe at Victoria Falls.
So he got around.
He definitely got around. He pretty much went to every single continent other than Antarctica and really explored the plants deeply in those different places, as well as the healers that use the plants in those different places. And this is also in Zimbabwe. That is Mary Morgaine as well, and this is a picture that was new to her. So that's nice to share. And she called it the Land of Rainbows there by Victoria Falls. Here Frank is doing one of his classic poses, the headstand, and this one in particular is at Machu Picchu. But within the whole collection of pictures that we have from Frank, there are quite a few pictures of him doing this exact pose in quite a few amazing locations.
And it was part of his practice to do yoga every morning.
Every single day, Frank would do yoga.
Whoa.
And here he's with Christopher Hobbs, a very eminent, noted mycologist, a person that studies mushrooms, who lives out in California.
And Frank got involved with Ken Cruz here, when he, also another mushroom man.
Yeah, Ken Krause is
Krause,
another one,
sorry.
definitely. Here Frank is with Alexis, sweetie from California, and this is his birthday, and he had a tradition of getting his beard shaved off every birthday, and so Alexis was one that would facilitate that for him.
When was that, I wonder?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that this, I believe, was in 2004. This is Paige, who is the daughter of Frank's good friends Paul and Jill, who he originally traveled out to California with in the 80s. He helped raise this girl as well as her brother Liam, and they are a very close unit. Frank has a room in their house, and it's something that is very special to Frank to have that connection with them still.
And now to Costa Rica.
Yeah, this is in the Diamante Verde Retreat Center in Costa Rica, and it's called The Cave, and this was
You
during
see Frank all the way in the back.
yeah, So this was on the Guardians of Eden retreat that Frank participated in, I believe, at least 3, maybe 4 times. And this one was the winter of 2006 going into 2007.
Is that you back there?
Yeah, I'm there on the
Mark's
right.
on the right and Frank's on the left.
Yeah. Here we're on that same retreat, but as you can see from the winter attire, even in Costa Rica it can get cold, and this is at 10,000 feet above sea level, and is a really interesting kind of cloud forest, but also a place that has magnolias and oaks and blueberries, and almost actually looks like Appalachia. And then here we're at the Diamante Verde Retreat Center again, with the waterfall in the background, and actually the largest waterfall in Costa Rica is directly in front of us as well. And a good friend of Frank's to the far right is Lydia, who Frank has known for quite a while, 15 years at least. Here Frank is with his brother Ken, and directly in front of them is a 15-foot tall yellow dock. So that was pretty surprising. This was kind of like a Dr. Seuss land, really. There were 20-foot tall thistles and all sorts of plants that were kind of like on steroids or something due to all the moisture there. And here we've finished up our 2-week journey through Costa Rica, hiking from 10,000 foot above sea level down to the sea. And we are celebrating with a circle of eating coconuts and sharing in some good times before parting ways.
Yeah, Frank tried to locate all thousands of the plants. How many species are there?
One of Frank's missions was in life was to meet all the genera of plants in the world, and definitely went well along the way on that journey. Here is a party for Claudia Green. It's called a fancy dress party, so we actually see Frank back in a tie. And here is another learning center around in Asheville called Soulflower Botanical Sanctuary, the home of Sierra. And Frank is there facilitating the gathering with a number of students.
Sierra has that school in town that he teaches at.
The Appalachian School for Holistic Herbalism was part of that Soulflower. And now this is in Boone at Maverick Farms. This is one of the last occasions I had to be with Frank in May of this year, 2009. And you can see that Robert's there, the host of your show today, as well as a number of other old friends of Frank's. And this was at my home and the home of Rob Danford, my landlord, with Mary Morgaine in May. This was one of the last moments I had to be with him.
Yeah.
So surreal. So here Frank is looking up information from Thomas Elpel's book about Monotropa, the ghost pipe. And this book, Botany in a Day, is something that was pretty much crucial to Frank's work about learning plants and teaching plants. He facilitated for 9 years an online discussion of this book.
Yes. Here we see another little gathering.
Yeah, here we're in Duke Gardens, a place where Frank worked as a student and a place where he spent much time with Claudia Green. He's next to me there. And we're just taking a walk around in May of 2008 looking at...
Jesse there, too.
And Jesse as well is there. And this is a rainbow gathering in Colorado. And Frank is once again co-teaching with his teacher, Greenlight, and once again has a large number of students who are eagerly taking in the information they have to share. I love how Frank's looking at us in that picture. This is a salad that was kind of like a play off the stone soup idea, where we were in Wyoming at the National Rainbow Gathering, and pretty much people brought whatever they had, and then we foraged for about maybe 25 to 30 other plants besides and made this beautiful salad from that. Here, even amongst the forest, Frank is continuing to work on his master's thesis that he eventually published shortly thereafter. And so this was July of 2008, and he's just putting on the finishing touches in the forest, standing in front of that, or sitting in front of that beautiful boulder there. Here is from, I believe, March or April of this past year in 2009, and Frank's with one of his other good teachers, Jim Duke, and also with Claudia, and they are co-teaching a walk at Warren Wilson College for a big herbal symposium that brought out a lot of the main teachers from the from the Asheville area. And here Frank is kind of leading the way for 30 to 40 people, inspiring as he always did. Here by the Garden Cabin at Warren Wilson College in the Garden.
One of the last teachings he did.
Yeah, certainly in the Western North Carolina area.
Notice he's not wearing any shoes, folks.
Yeah, and I thought it was cute too that Jim Duke, I believe, is at least maybe 83. And he's also barefoot in here. They were very much kindred spirits, as you can see through the pictures that are unfolding.
Another great place for herb people to gather, the Warren Wilson cabin, where you worked for quite a while, Mark.
Yeah, I was a student there, and I managed that space in 2005. And Frank was a frequent teacher in the roster at Warren Wilson through the well. He would do one-day workshops, typically at least once or twice a year, about wild edibles, about mushrooms, about cooking, various other assorted things that he was interested in sharing.
And that was the space I worked at too, but before that particular cabin was built.
Nice, yeah, because you went to Warren Wilson in the 80s.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, and I was on the garden crew.
Yeah.
And that's the person with the wellness.
Yeah, Charlie Wilson is still up there, who's a big supporter of Frank's, and was always happy to have him there teaching. Here is a pretty awesome picture of Frank actually urticating Jim Duke. That's Urtica dioica, that's nettle, stinging nettle in front there, and it's been known for generations to help with arthritis, various other issues by the application of it to the skin, and Frank is facilitating that.
Chris, can you stop this a second? We just want to give a little bit more time to these last pictures. Can we get the picture back up again as we talk? There we go. So this is the memorial, and Frank had passed on Wednesday, and that night was the first memorial at the Gardens at Pearson Street. This was 4 days later. And it was a pretty incredible scene. This was a fairly large pond that I had no concept that we could circle. And the people just kept streaming in. And eventually this whole pond was circled. It was quite an experience. And that, at the end, is a teepee that I believe he stayed in at some time. Or that was up on the land.
Well, for that particular event, that was a story teepee where people afterwards could come and share stories about Frank.
Okay. Okay, Chris, let's move it on to the next one. Quarter of the lake. And then we're going to show you another shot of another quarter of the lake with more people just ringing this whole thing. Out there in the center, some people came out and made some presentations, including Seven Song, who came down. People were from California, from